and turn up the volume. This is Channel Africa.
Now, the airports company, South Africa, ACSA, has suspended its group executive for enterprise security and compliance, Lieutenant-General Mzwandile Petros, pending an investigation and independent probe into alleged operational irregularities. This follows an incident where a passenger boarded a flight to Ethiopia from OR Tambo International with 2 training hand grenades in their luggage. The items were detected during a routine check at Bole International Airport in Ethiopia. The Civil Aviation Authority has fined ACSA $112,765 for the security breach. For more on this, we are now joined on the line by Aviation Analyst Phuthego Mojapele. Good afternoon, Phuthego. Trust you well.
Good afternoon, Thabiso, and to your listeners, and thank you for having me.
Great. Phuthego, let's break this down. What specific operational irregularities are being investigated in relation to Lieutenant-General Mzwandile Petros' suspension, and how might these have contributed to the security breach at OR Tambo International Airport?
Look, there has been a series of incidents of security breach that has happened both at the airports outside Johannesburg, in Cape Town. I know for a fact I'm one of the complainants that have lodged the complaint to Civil Aviation Authority about the security breach. And that was late last year, November last year, when I launched a complaint after a serious security breach. And CAA has since investigated, and they did find them guilty of that. Now, when this happened, there was kind of many other incidents that have happened where the CEO of ACSA has been really very much trying to downplay the seriousness of the situation there. And I'm actually glad that she eventually heeded the call of start with the head of the security at ACSA to make sure that these other issues are investigated properly and are able to find the solution for these problems. Because you can't have a situation where the top airport in Africa, South Africa is the top, as in top, we are found to be wanting on the issues of security. We do have FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, that comes and do the security audit here. We also have TSA from America, which also came and do the security audit here in South Africa. And all those audits should have been highlighting some of the issues that has been cited on their reports that have been given to ACSA. So where we are sitting right now is that the security at ACSA is highly compromised, and it needs to be dealt with immediate effect. How on earth in this country you have somebody flying out of our own country with hand grenade, whether it's a training hand grenade or whatever kind of grenade it is. At the end of the day, it is an explosive. And explosives are not allowed anywhere closer to the airport. It is something that is prohibited by IOTA, as well as the CAA here in South Africa. So it is important that we needed to have the top of the security, the head of the security, being put on suspension so that the investigations can carry on. But that's not only the person that needed to be dealt with. The entire security needs to be overhauled.
I hear you say, South Africa, the airports company there has strict security controls, and I understand your concerns, and one of the reasons why you also ended up elevating this in a form of a complaint. Now, given the fine which has been imposed by the South African Civil Authority, What measures is ACSA implementing or should implement to address the identified security protocol deficiencies and prevent future incidents, given the fact that you stated that it's top?
Look, I understand the problem. ACSA would argue that the problem is not entirely with them. I will understand where they're coming from as far as that is concerned. There is an MOU that is existing between the airlines that are flying into South Africa, for example, Ethiopian Airlines and many others that comes into South Africa, where they have appointed a company that can handle that can do handling for them, ground handling for them, including the very same luggages that contain those hand grenades that we're talking about. And that some of the company or that company that has been given that responsibility to look after the airlines, the breach comes from them because ACSA has no control over that because of the evergreen contract that seems to be in place. By the way, ACSA has contested that contract before through the courts, and it seems like they did not win. So what needs to happen is that ACSA needs to have a total control of the security at the airport, but not giving it to any third party to try and do the job for ACSA. So as long as we have that kind of setup that is not challengeable in court or in law, we would still see some of these elements unfolding. The fine that was imposed on ACSA ideally should have not been imposed on ACSA. It should have been imposed on that company that has been appointed to handle because ACSA has they don't have control over what the other companies are doing in their area of operation. However, it is still, ACSA is still a landlord. They have the right to determine as to how they want things to be handled. And as far as I'm concerned, I do believe that with this suspension of the head of security, overhaul is imminent and we will see things changing, including those service providers that are not doing their job and embarrassing us in the international stages.
Phuthego, regarding the FlySafe Air pilot strike planned, how might this action disrupt operations at OR Tambo International Airport, already under scrutiny for security issues?
Well, the strike currently that is going on at FlySafe Air, it is merely on the flight deck. It's got nothing to do with other operational like ground handling and others. It's purely flight deck, and it's only 200 members of Solidarity, and therefore that should not be compromising any security. Look, the security at the moment at ACSA is on the spotlight, and I do believe that ACSA will do anything possible to make sure that the security is not compromised. But as far as the strike is concerned, it's purely based on the pilots and many other members or staff members of the staff. They are at work, and I think they would still maintain all the things that they need to do on day-to-day operation of the service of FlySafe Air.
Thanks for your time once again this afternoon and for shedding light on the events erupting there.